Okay, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so we've been getting a handful of questions about just various things, right? When you have an opportunity like this, there's different things that come up. And obviously, we can't foresee every question that's going to come up. So we're going to try to address some of the stuff that we've heard.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about how we basically came across this deal, what the process has been like for you setting this up.
Yeah.
And we'll try to get some of your questions answered. And if anything comes up while we're here live, fire away, and we'd love to get answers.
So the questions that we're well, not even questions, but the whole, I guess, reason why we're actually doing this is because setting everything up this way has been a very intense learning curve, to be quite honest. The US market is very different than the Canadian market.
The legalities are different.
Yeah, it's different legally. It's different from a lending perspective. It's different from a management perspective. It's different from an opportunity perspective. It's different from an opportunity perspective. You name it, it's different. The markets are outrageously different, really.
Let me ask you this. Would you say that it's better?
Yes.
I would too.
It's just better.
Too. I think you know it a little bit more in depth than me because you go through the process.
Now, what I will tell people is that it's not, I wouldn't say that it's like, I think I need to explain why it's better. And the reason
that's what we're going to do.
The reason why it's better is because for me, there's more opportunity. However, it's cutthroat. Like if you mismove something or if you take the wrong step, like you can get fucked. And there's a lot of room for interpretation. I have been in some negotiating scenarios where I almost did get caught because it's not the same as being in the Canadian market where you can kind of misstep a little bit and the regulations in place will kind of save you. No, everything's open to you. You can, part of the negotiation, for example, which is kind of, I've never done this here. You can negotiate with the bank, like literally negotiate.
Yeah. And why? Let's talk about why that is. I think it's because there's so many different lenders over there.
Probably.
There's more competition, right?
Probably.
So they're open for business.
And I don't mean just like a little bit negotiation. I mean like a lot of negotiation, rates, terms, syndication opportunity. Like there's so much shit that you can actually, what's that?
Yeah, like it's big negotiations, not like just can I get a 1/10% off my interest
big
rate?
Negotiation, and even like negotiations that like you need a lawyer for. Like it's crazy.
That's a
like
good point.
You actually do need a lawyer to review your financial documents, whereas over here you don't need that.
Yeah. So it can probably be intimidating to
it's very intimidating.
Beginner investor or small investor trying to buy some small stuff, but it actually does create more opportunities because the negotiation can be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars over a holding period if you negotiate properly.
Yeah, it really is. So some of the things that we want to touch on, we actually have a list. I got a laundry list here of things why this opportunity is unique and why it truly is an opportunity,
especially relative to what we're seeing here locally and across Ontario and Canada. Yeah.
So number one on the list is the passiveness of the opportunity. So talk to me about that. Let's talk about that.
Go buy a duplex right now, and what are the headaches that you're going to be faced with? Number one, you're probably going to be inheriting at least one below market tenant. We all know that in Ontario, you cannot get rid of tenants very easily. You have to do certain things, or you have to basically run the risk of having somebody below market for the next 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
Whereas in Florida or states like Florida, you can basically raise rents or remove a tenant and just basically give them notice, right? We're raising the rent by $100. Boom, done. So that's one big thing. Number two, I don't know. What are some things that come to mind for you?
Well, with regards to passiveness, like this is truly a passive investment.
Yeah.
I mean, we're taking the brunt of it. Myself, our team. You can be as involved as you want and as little as you want. This could be something that you could approach as a learning opportunity, right? Or this is something that you could literally stroke a check and get checks monthly.
Yeah.
Like like we're literally, we're doing all the heavy lifting. Okay. And we're doing all the heavy lifting for arguably the same returns that you would get, probably even better at this point from what I've seen in whatever I'm trying to do, or whenever I do come across something that I actually might consider here. I always revert back. You know, I get reached out by a lot of people, or a lot of people contact me. They're like, "Hey, Dan, look at this opportunity. Hey, look at this. Look at this. Look at this." And I'm like, how do I not compare this opportunity to what we're doing with Bayview?
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense.
So the stuff that you're getting, whether off market, on market, whatever, you're looking at it and like, this is just not a great deal.
It's not even. It doesn't even.
It's not exciting.
It's not even close.
Yeah, and you're getting a lot of different people sending you stuff.
Yeah.
So
I get a lot of big scale off market stuff. So I actually am getting larger market or larger off market or pocket listing, opportunities these days. But are they just nothing? There's nothing there. They're all value when I say value add, they're all like dramatic value add.
Below market rents by 10, 20, 30 units. And again, this is where passivity,
not even that.
Let me continue. Yeah. This is where passivity comes into play. So if you're looking for a large multifamily in Ontario, you're going to have to generally inherit at least some below market rents. It's going to take you years of work and effort to get rid of those tenants.
Yeah.
So
why?
Because Ontario is too strict, right?
Yeah.
And there's heavily regulated. So yes, there might be an opportunity there for you, but you're going to have to work for it. Whereas here in this situation, we are going to be raising the rents for you.
Yeah.
We have the structure in place. We're going to be managing the property managers, which this is all built into the financial model, by the way, right?
Yeah.
You have an in-house property manager that lives there and runs it. So we're going to be managing them. So management's actually built in. It truly is a passive investment. You go buy a duplex right now. How often do you get calls for your portfolio?
In terms
for like a leaky toilet. A leaky faucet. I had like 10 calls this week. Mold here, this, that, freaking
all the time.
We just put sod down. I got to water it every day. And whether or not I'm doing it, I still have to take that call and arrange it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not complaining about it. You know, I still believe it's a great investment, whatever. But like in terms of passivity here, like this is going to be basically, like you said, you can write a check and not do anything.
Yeah.
Or you can, get a little bit active with us. We'd be happy to have you on these calls with the property managers.
Because we're not in a position where we believe that we know we're the be all end all and we know everything, right? Yeah. That's arguably one of, I feel, I don't ever like to, give my opinion of myself. What I've heard from other people is the fact that one of the reasons why I'm here, at the position that I'm in is because I do take, number one, constructive criticism very well as number two, I take advice and suggestions all the time because I don't pretend to know that I know everything.
So underrated.
So I would actually love to have feedback and input from people so long as it's, constructive. Right?
Of course, yeah.
I'm not looking for, negative people and complaining and stuff like that. As long as it's positive and constructive, I would invite that. I want a team of people to help us collectively scale this whole objective to, massive scale. Yeah. Massive scale.
Yeah, like there are big players in the world. They started here.
Yeah.
Okay, they started where we're starting with one property. Yeah. And then it became 2, and then it became 10, and then it became 100, whatever, right? Yeah. Like the opportunities really are endless when you have the right mindset, which I think you do. So a lot of people right now, you're living in the GTA or an expensive city, and you're investing out of town, right? Yeah. A lot of people are coming to Windsor right now for that reason. A lot of hurdles when you're investing out of town, right? You got to set up property management, you got to make contacts, build a team, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
We've done that here, right? So again, we're just emphasizing one of the big benefits of this investment opportunity is you can put it on autopilot and get a dividend check or distribution every month.
Yeah.
That's one. I say we move on to the next point.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess the next point here is like returns of
relative returns.
Yeah, relative
to what's
returns
available here.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is like so one of the opportunities I was looking at, it was a particular building in a really nice location in Windsor.
It's at the Riverside.
Yeah, it's
one.
Yeah, exactly.
How many units was that again?
It was 136.
Okay, yeah.
Very below market rents.
Like you're talking like 50% below.
Yeah, like
times 100.
Yeah. 1 meter for the whole building. There's no gas in the entire building. Yeah. It's only electric. It's older, 70s, which is fine. I don't mind that. The structure's great. Needs some underground parking reinforcement, which is not good. It's structural.
Yeah. How much would you say that this building needs CapEx and repairs?
I would say a solid $25,000 a unit.
per unit times how much is that total? Are you talking 4 or 5 million?
Yeah.
What are we thinking?
Yeah, I would say that. Something
So
along those lines.
what's the estimated purchase price?
26 million.
And what cap rate is that?
So at the purchase price that they want, it's going to be about a 3 cap.
So you're looking at a 3 cap for something that
that's what they're anticipating. It could very well go for a more. For a higher value. I
like
don't know. Right?
2.7 cap.
Who knows?
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, who knows, right?
And let's talk about this. So
because that shit rarely comes up in Canada.
Exactly.
Like you gotta understand, like that stuff rarely comes up.
And we'll talk about that in a sec. So let's break this down. You have 110, 100 whatever units.
Yeah.
You need $5 million in renovation. You need, how much money down do you need for a $26 million purchase?
For something like that,
with that much below market rents, you might need a heavy.
You're gonna need
down payment.
So the agent predicted that you're gonna need about 45% down.
So 45%
at minimum.
So you're talking 13 million approximately, plus 5 million in renovations. You need $18 million. Your NOI here is like, I don't know,
it's like non-existent.
So you're going to be working on this property for 10 to 20 years to get it up to market rents, because you can't just go in there and raise rents on people, right? So somebody's going to buy it. Because
then what you have to do too is, like, say for example, you do, enact that significant renovation eviction, or renoviction, whatever people call it. You're gonna have a lot of people that building's not gonna be producing any income. So you're in this. This is like a long.
And those people are gonna come back.
Yeah, this is a long drawn out
years
project.
This is crazy. And a lot of work. Yeah. And here's the thing: somebody's gonna buy it, because in Canada and Ontario, this is one thing people have to understand. It's different than the U.S. because hedge funds, pension funds, and big REITs buy stuff like this.
Yeah.
And little guys like you and I, we don't really compete here because the returns are too low. You're better off playing small ball in Ontario and Canada.
Yeah.
Duplex, triplex, fourplex, eightplex.
Yeah.
The returns are actually decent there. You buy bigger stuff like this, from what we're seeing on the purchase, your returns are very low.
Yeah.
Now, how is that different in the US?
Yeah. So to touch even more so on that, if you actually predict what they can be getting for after, like post renovation and all that kind of stuff, even like call it, you can snap your finger, renovate all the units, you're after all that work and all that done, you're going to be arguably around a 4.25%, 4.5% cap rate. Like that's awful.
Did you do any cash on cash return estimates or anything like that?
I didn't.
Just out of curiosity.
No.
So whatever. It's nothing earth shattering for the amount of work that you have to put into something like this. And our point here is that this is what we see consistently across Ontario for large multifamily is they're not deals that we're interested in. Like you have the firepower to purchase something like that, and yet you haven't made a move like that in Ontario. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
We told you why pension funds, hedge funds, and REITs buy them all.
Yeah.
Now in the States, I told somebody
I'm also a cash flow buyer.
Oh, of course.
I operate my real estate like a business, and you can't operate like a business
because it doesnn't make any money.
It doesn't make any money, and I'm not the type of person where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do like this huge reno and this. It's going to take 5 years. No, I want, like, can you imagine taking 5 years and tying up that much money? Do you know what you can do with that much money? The opportunity cost is way too great for me. It's insane.
But for the big players, they don't care, right?
No.
They need to park billions of dollars and they need to put it in real estate.
Exactly,
Riverside Drive, Windsor, Ontario, they don't care.
Yeah.
So that's why it's going to sell for a freaking under a 3 cap.
For sure.
Now in the US, like John and Jane Smith, the teachers, own duplexes here in Windsor and triplexes, whatever. Jane and John Smith, the teachers, own 50-unit apartment buildings in the US.
True. Yeah.
It's different over there. You're not, and that also creates an opportunity because the big players don't generally mismanage their stuff.
No.
But John and Jane Smith do.
Yeah.
Because they have a heart and they don't want to raise rents on people.
Yeah.
So you end up buying an apartment building with 55 below market rents.
Yeah.
That's, it's a great building and this and that, whatever. They just didn't raise the rent.
Exactly.
So it creates opportunities.
Yeah.
And you're, again, competing against other individual peoples, not necessarily big giant corporations.
Exactly. There's a lot more privately owned product in the States versus Canada.
And then that comes into opportunity as well.
Yeah.
That's why there's not a lot of opportunity in Ontario for big stuff like this or Canada in general.
Yeah.
But the opportunity in the States, because it's such a big market and because Jane and John Smith own a lot of these buildings all across the US, think of how much more opportunity there is, right? So that's why we have this. That's why you've started this, right? I think a lot of people are like, oh, how did this all start? Because you can't scale here.
Yeah. Right? I actually started this solely based off of the fact that I wasn't getting what I wanted.
You're tapped out.
That was it.
You're tapped out. Here.
I wanted more opportunity. I wanted better leverage. I wanted better returns, and I can't get them here.
Yeah.
I can't get them here.
Let's break this building down a little bit so people understand. Try to find the 1% rule anywhere, and even Windsor, Ontario, the cheapest city the cheapest city in Ontario, Windsor, you cannot find the 1% rule.
Yeah.
Unless you do something crazy like a student rental or something like that. But to buy a building or a 50-unit apartment building at the 1% rule, it's not going to happen.
It's actually higher than 1% at this point, because even prior to closing, we're increasing rents beyond 1%.
Yeah, so let's break this down, right? The average purchase price here is $130K per door,
around
right?
130, 130, low 130s, something like that.
And the average rent on purchase was how much?
Like $1,300, 1,350. I call it 1,300. Yeah.
So that's the 1% rule.
Yeah.
And how many below market rents do we have there?
They're all pretty much, like almost all of them are below market.
So you just had a call or whatever with the property manager.
I just got a text. Yeah, I just got a text message where they're increasing, I think 15 units, are in the process of increasing 15 units of that particular property by it'd be around $100.
So you
before we even come into ownership of it.
Yeah. So that's $1,500 a month times 12 months. That's like, there's your NOI just bumped up. Like that's cash in your pocket, right? Because your expenses didn't go up.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
what is that even? My phone's on the thing.
Yeah. So
it's got to be, I don't even know what that would be. That would, the increase in NOI on that would be what, 100, that would be $1,500
times 12 divided by 6.
Yeah, whatever that is. That's what, call it what, 16 grand? Do the math real quick. You got your phone?
Okay, so we have 1,500 times 12. That's 18,000 divided by 0.06. That's a 6 cap. That's $300,000 in increase value
without even within I don't even know.
Almost without lifting a finger. And certainly the passive investors certainly didn't.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
So that's the opportunity.
Yeah.
There for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Oh, you're doing the math there, Dave? Oh. Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah.
And that's we don't even own it yet.
And that's 15 out of 58.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of opportunity.
Oh, yeah. It's huge.
Now, another thing I love to tell people is that this is North Miami, sandwiched between Fort Lauderdale and Miami proper.
Yeah.
This isn't Giles on downtown Windsor.
No.
Which is, I don't know, 5 kilometers from Detroit River. This is
walking distance to Whole Foods, walking distance to Starbucks, walking distance to LA Fitness. I could throw a rock and hit a $6 million mansion on the fucking water.
Yeah.
It's 9 minute drive? 9 minute drive or what? Yeah, 9 minute drive to Ball Harbor Beach. On that beach strip there, Gucci, Chanel, Fendi, what is this?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. So this is the big leagues. This is an A-class world-class location.
It's a B-class product in an overall A-class MSA.
Yes, I couldn't. Yeah, exactly. Right. So even the stuff we're seeing, even like I said, in these crappy Windsor locations, doesn't trade for this kind of cap rate, cash on cash return, or anything of the sort.
Yeah, this is how I can explain it. It's a B-class property, and you want to be in B-class. The reason why you want to be in B-class is because when times get tough, A class will move down to B class, but B class will typically not move down to C class. And C class, when times get good, will move up to B class. Okay.
I like it. Yeah.
But B class typically doesn't move down to C again.
I would agree with that. Just anecdotally, I could not ever see myself, even in a crisis, ever going to a C class.
Yeah.
I just couldn't.
Yeah. And then you have that submarket. That submarket there is an A class submarket. There's multi-million dollar homes on the water, on canals, right behind the building. That's why in that submarket there too, you have Starbucks, Whole Foods, LA Fitness. You don't put those things in those submarkets. Like Whole Foods, Starbucks, and LA Fitness already did all the market research for us. They already know. Like they already did millions and millions of dollars of market research for us. They already did it. They already did it. And then, so you have that scenario, but it's still a B class. And I would still even call the neighborhood surrounding in that really localized submarket. I wouldn't even call it a submarket. That's that localized, hyper local area. I would say area would be more of a B class, not an A class. But the MSA, North Miami Beach, is part of the Miami MSA.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an A class world on the global scale.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're talking Atlantic Ocean, weather.
Yeah, exactly.
Miami, like a world-class.
Yeah. And how many, when we were there, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but a good majority of people in that particular building even worked in Miami. And the reason why they worked in Miami because they were getting squeezed out of the market for rent in Miami. So what do? You naturally migrate to areas that are more affordable.
You have no choice.
And it's only 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
It's a 20-minute drive. It's nothing.
Yeah, I think the guy said it was 50.
Whatever, yeah. When he gets off work, which is like not during rush hour. It's like 12 to 15 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Not during rush hour.
Yeah,
it takes me longer to get here from my house. Like literally.
So this is opportunity in A-class, world-class locations
for sure.
You just can't do in Canada.
No, let's talk a little bit about Miami is exploding.
Oh god.
Like go to our Instagram page or go somewhere where we're posting stuff in this group the Canadians Investing in US Real Estate group. Like
I can't keep up.
There's so much info coming in about Miami, it's insane.
Yeah. Like I personally, this is my own just random what I call it, but I'm thinking it's the next Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
You can't go to California anymore. There's no real estate. It's too expensive. The state taxes
Gavin
are too
Newsom
high.
just got back in.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to go on there now?
Yeah, he's anti-business, just like Trudeau and our government. They're anti-business.
Yeah.
They make it very difficult to set up shop and they tax you too much. So people are going to stop doing it, right? And again, I keep telling people, COVID changed the world forever. It changed people's mindsets. It's freed people's minds to say, I don't need to be here. That's businesses and people. I don't need to be in New York anymore. I don't need to be in California or Chicago. I'm going where it's warm. I'm going where it's business friendly, and I'm going where it's anti-lockdown.
Yeah.
Now, debate however you want on those policies. I don't really care, but it's happening.
It really is irrelevant.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I wouldn't buy anything in California or in these other states, but that's what's happening in Miami right now. Is it's becoming a global hub for people looking to escape high taxes and lockdowns.
Yeah.
And that is, we're in year one, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah. So if people are getting squeezed now for rents in these cities like Miami and Fort Lauderdale, I think it's going to get worse.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to get a lot worse.
100%.
And they're going to have no choice but to,
100%. So a couple other questions that I've gotten was from people like, hey, why should we, be confident in our abilities and my abilities and things like that. So, I guess touch on that a little bit.
Actually, yeah, somebody messaged me today and said, what if Dan doesn't get on the board?
Of the condo association?
You've done it before, right? You've done it at Lagoyu. You've managed a portfolio of 150 plus properties. So I have quite a bit of faith in you.
Yeah.
You run how many businesses?
Yeah.
You're a serial entrepreneur. We liken real estate to a business.
Yeah.
Look, I run my real estate like a business too, but I'm not a businessman at the level that you are. So I bet you have a whole different eye than I do. Like you're at a whole different level, the way you see things and the way you'll operate these things. You'll cut costs and you'll raise rents. And that's going to increase our NOI and the value of this building over time. You've already talked about things that I never even thought about. Changing the profile of the building and the online presence, not having stupid shit on the books, right? So that when we do go to sell the property in 5 years or refinance it or 1031 exchange it, the books are clean and it increases the value of the property. Whereas some managers, they try to do stupid stuff and do all these stupid write-offs on the books. Yeah, you save a little bit of money up front, but you get burned in the long run because your books are dirty.
Exactly.
So just stuff like that the average investor, because they're not business people, they just wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So I'm very confident that you would run this building better than me. 100%. You've done it and you're a businessman and whatever else. And I think the average investor out here, unless you already own big stuff like this, which you probably don't, then Dan's going to probably do a better job than you.
Yeah.
And
listen, if you think you can do a better job than me, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. That's it.
Go do it yourself.
Right? Just go do it yourself. But if you can't do it yourself, or in 5 years you come to me and you're like, no, I haven't really done anything. I don't want to fucking hear it.
Which is, is most people.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. So to answer the question, with me being able to have such a presence for that, or this portfolio being such a large percentage of
58
properties,
units out of how many total?
It's like 300 something.
You're going to be the majority.
Yeah, you are the
owner.
majority.
Yeah.
You could force a seat on the board, which is what I did in Lagoyo. And lo and behold, I was there for 7 years. I was the president of the board for 4.
Yeah.
So you can do it, and I would gladly do it.
And I remember being at the building. We talked to the property manager and sat down with her, and we built a relationship with her really quickly. Right? Oh, we're just friendly, whatever. Yeah. And what did she say? She said, "Hey, when you go to apply for the board, let me know. I'm going to tell all the tenants to vote for you."
Yeah.
Because she's friends with them all. She's a good property manager.
Yeah.
So hey, vote for this guy, right?
Like, and I want the building to perform.
Exactly.
I'm not going to do things to that are detrimental.
People don't understand when Dan's on the board, he's going to run that board like a business, because most of the people on that board in the average condo are not business people. They want stupid shit. They'll spend money on stupid things that are going to burn you in the long run.
Now, in this particular condo corp, which I actually like, the majority of them actually are investors.
The majority of the unit owners are investors,
the
but none of them have as many units as you.
No, I have by far the most.
Yeah.
So the majority of people that are that own the units are investors, which is actually something that I like.
Yeah.
The board that I was on before, they were not investors. Maybe another one was, but very small. Like they own one or two. So, but being on that board, I saw how things are inadequately run. Yeah.
It's emotional. I want this. I want to do this.
A lot of, it's people that, live there. They want, they want to build a dog park, or they want, like, hey, let's, change the pool from salt to chlorine, or chlorine to salt, like just dumb shit. Right. Like, hey, we want, like, we want new light fixtures that are like, Swarovski crystal, like shit like that. It's not going to fly.
Yeah, I remember you making a comment, like you're trying to turn this property, which is, let's call it a C-class property. You're trying to turn this C-class property into an A property, but it's not going to happen. No. Like, it doesn't work here, right? It's not the right idea for this property.
You have to stay in your class.
Yes.
So improve, marginally improve the property. Yeah. But don't try to like increase its class.
No,
that's not the right move.
It's a bad investment.
It really is.
So having somebody on that board running the show with that mindset, and most of the other investors will have the same mindset if they're any sort of good investor.
Yeah,
like that's actually very key to me, and it gives me comfort in how that building is going to be run.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. I've been on the board of a condo association. I know how they run.
Yeah, and another thing too is people got to understand you're going to be the most at risk here. Yeah. Like anybody coming on is a limited partner, which means my liability is limited.
Yeah.
If this building goes under completely, I only lose.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter if I only own like 1% left after we syndicate all the equity. Say I only have a 1% stake. It doesn't matter. I'm still on the hook for the loan.
Yeah,
it's still my ass.
Yeah,
that's why that's why this is a big deal to me.
Yeah, and we do.
That's why I do. My underwriting the way that I do. That's why I qualify the buildings the way that I do, because if I don't, like, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So I have to I have to make sure I'm making the right decisions, whether or not we syndicate or any of that.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, the Coachwood Capital always from the onset of Coachwood Capital or if its infancy, I was never planning on syndicating stuff out. Mm-hmm. This was a methodology for me to expand my portfolio and to still obtain the returns that I wanted to obtain.
And stop buying single family and duplexes, right? It's like,
exactly. But at the end of the day, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to be so limited. I don't have all the money in the world, obviously. I only make X amount of dollars per year or whatever the case is. I only have X amount of dollars that I can invest. I have to bring people in. If I'm going to bring people in, I'm going to bring in like-minded individuals, and we're going to scale this thing into a giant.
Yeah, love it.
That's what I want.
Yeah. And people have asked about that. Is this a one and done deal?
No, this is not a one and done deal.
And I said, I don't think it's in Dan's blood for it to be a one and done deal.
No.
And
Dave,
I don't think it's in mine.
No.
And Dave knows. If anybody knows, Dave knows.
Yeah.
So again, we're trying to raise $2 million here. I think, Dan, you're personally you're going to be into this for the majority.
A good amount. Yeah. So the reason why I've actually scaled back my investment is because I've had so much interest.
Interesting. Yeah.
I actually and new deals excite me, right? So I was gonna go into it for even close to half, but we're approaching half already funded. So I've scaled back the equity that I'm going to be holding because so many other people are going to be coming in. And at the end of the day, I'm excited to continue doing deals, right? And continue with even like the investors that are coming in. I'm excited for them to see how well this one will go so that they have no choice but to come in on the next one. Like they're not going to have a choice.
Yeah. And the less money that you invest, the quicker that you can go on to the next one, right?
Yeah, because my comfort level is I like to commit to properties that I have enough money for the down payment. Just in case nobody comes in, it lowers the amount of risk that I have so that if something's a great deal or a great property, I don't want to say hey, I can't go into that because I don't have the money, or I'm not confident I can get the
we can
money.
raise it,
I know, or that we can raise it in time. I know we can raise it, especially with what we're doing. This is our first one. It's going great. But my comfort level for knowing that, hey, listen, I can take this property down myself and then worst case scenario, syndicate it after the fact, the property closes. That's a little bit of a comfort level for me for at least the next two, right? Like this is a second one. We did Canton, Michigan first. This is the second one. Maybe the third one. Maybe I'll do it that way. Maybe I won't. I'm not really sure. But eventually, I feel like we're going to have such a pool of investors. We're not even going to have to worry about that.
Yeah, you can get the bigger stuff under contract.
Exactly. We can get the bigger stuff under contract. We can continue to scale.
Yeah. But for this particular deal, you're buying it whether we got $0 raised or half or
I legitimately contemplated on not syndicating out this deal because I know it's going to be a big one. I know that this one's going to be a serious moneymaker. I actually was like, hey, Dave, I was like, really, hey, do I, maybe I'll just do this one and we'll like syndicate out the next one. But I'm like, what's the point? Like, let's just do it. If we're going to do this, let's do it.
If you want to go fast, you go alone.
And not only that, like I want to show people like the opportunities. Like I want to show people the opportunities and I want to show people how much, like the money that they can make.
Yeah. You can't be a big player by yourself.
No, you can't.
Too long,
it's
right?
too hard.
Like,
unless you're, I don't know. You're Jeff
next
Bezos
level.
or something. I don't know. Like you got something that's producing like billions of dollars a year. You can just buy whatever you want. Like that's not me.
For sure. So you see the big picture. Like, hey, like I said, you go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go with other people.
Yeah.
And that's why that vision of 50 multifamilies in the US is going to be only achievable with other people like-minded, right? So
for sure.
It's huge. It's huge.
So let's talk about a couple other things that actually ended up coming up. So something came up where I was discussing with actually somebody that I know, and he's running into a situation. I think he owns 4 or 5 properties right now, and his debt service coverage ratio is becoming a factor because he owns too many properties. The banks won't give him money. He owns the properties personally, and the banks won't lend to him anymore.
Yeah.
So this is something that
as your portfolio grows for the small investor, it gets harder and harder to get lending, especially as returns are compressing and cash flow is dropping every week as prices are going up.
Yeah.
It's going to get harder and harder for the banks to keep qualifying you because of the debt service coverage ratio.
So I've actually recently run into a couple scenarios. So number one, this was something that I ran into a long time ago, but I do own some property personally from my first portfolio or my first package of properties that I bought. Now, the way that works is obviously the way that they look at that is they take your personal income and determine whether or not you can service debt if shit hits the fan. Okay, basically, right? So that's where he's running into an issue. He's not making enough money. He's arguably, he could still, hold 4 or 5 properties. He's arguably making great money, but he can't, like you don't make infinite amounts of money on your.
If shit hit the fan on 5 properties, now you're in trouble.
You might be in trouble, right? Yeah. So that's where the issue is. And then second, you also have another scenario where, okay, let's hold the properties corporately. But what ends up happening there is the lenders, typical lenders will look at the property itself now and what that property's producing as income. So number one, if you don't have a current tenant that's producing a sufficient amount of revenue, you're going to be in a sticky position. Number two, if you want to come from the perspective of value add and you can't have a tenant in there for a few months, what a lot of lenders will require you to do is pay up front for the property. Okay. So do you have 400, 500 grand to put down on a property and hold that for 3 months while you renovate and comp the rental costs?
Most people don't.
Or you're going to have to get very creative. You're going to be, 8 to 12% private lending, yada, yada, yada. So instead of doing that, we don't require anything.
You don't have to deal with any banks.
We don't have to deal. I don't care what your debt service coverage ratio is. Yeah. I don't care what your fucking credit is. I don't care about any of that shit. Yeah. I care if you're a like-minded individual, you want to scale some real estate and you want to make money.
Yeah. And this is huge for a lot of business owners or self-employed people that make good money.
Yeah.
But the banks don't always look at, you might not declare everything, right?
Entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Like I ran into that when I was starting out everything. Yeah. I was an entrepreneur. The banks didn't want to give me shit.
Of course not.
Right? So if you own your own business, you're fucked.
Yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs, you don't want to show all your income, right? You want to keep it in the business. You want to reinvest it. Yeah. So you're making good money, but you're not showing good money to the banks.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tax advantages of investing in something like this because you don't have to deal with that middleman to get the money, right?
Yeah.
It's huge. So
the only time that I ever ran into a good scenario where I was actually able to take down a property, renovate it, and still leverage it, that was when I scaled my portfolio to such a place where my portfolio itself could sustain, multiple properties being, developed or under construction.
Because you have such good income from this portfolio.
Exactly.
It's going to allow you to do more things. But
that was the only time that I was able to do that. Other than that, I had to pay cash for the property because, obviously I didn't really want to do the private lending thing. I private lend and I know I don't want to go down that road. It's too expensive. I'm not saying that that's not a route to go down. It arguably is, but I mean, that's just going to squeeze your returns.
Yeah. I wonder if this would actually add to your debt service coverage ratio. Like if I invest $100,000, I'm getting a 6% cash on cash to start. That's $500 a month or so of a distribution. That's going to go onto my income, right? And then theoretically, I'm showing a higher income. Maybe it would actually allow me to qualify for more things, right? It's part of the portfolio thing, like you said. So I just wonder if
it is an income and we're producing, all the tax documents, so it's going to be shown.
It should show up on your
it will show
T4 and whatnot, right?
It will show. Yeah.
Yep. So that's huge. It's underrated. There's a lot of people that are calling me up right now. They have 50 or 60 grand. 50 or 60 grand doesn't get you very far in this market.
Exactly.
You need 20% down for an investment property. Yeah. The average sale price is $550, $575 in Windsor, the cheapest city in Ontario.
Yeah.
You can't buy anything unless you're living there and you do 5% down.
So then what happens there? You're going to have to be not as leveraged, right? You might be 40, 45% down, arguably in some cases, or you might for the first couple years.
Well, a lot of people just don't have enough money to buy anything.
Okay, well there you go. Yeah.
Right? Like literally, if I only have 50 grand, which is a lot of, it's a good, if you're working a job and you're 26, 27 years old and you've saved 50 grand in 2 years, that's a pretty good job. Yeah. Problem is, as prices are up so much that you don't really have any options, right? Unless you go into some sketchy stuff, because that's what sells for under that price, that price range for 40, 50 grand down.
Yeah, you're going to be.
I get, I don't know, 10 or 15% of the calls I get are people like that.
Is that right?
And then they say, well, I basically tell them, sorry, I can't help you because I'm not going to put you in some slummy crap.
Yeah.
So like, I recommend that you just go save more money.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity for you to put your money to work without having to go to a bank.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, please lend me the money, right? Yeah. Oh, please, like, check out my debt service coverage ratio. And I only have 50 grand down. Yeah. Well, you need 20%. That's not enough, right? So this is massive for a lot of people. I hope you think about this if you're in that situation.
Yeah.
Inflation's really high right now, and you're going to have a hard time saving enough money for the beginners that aren't already in the game to continuously buy properties.
Yeah.
So you might be able to get one or two, but eventually you're might take you years to save enough for the next one.
Yeah, exactly. This is a mechanism to get into the market and get in smart. Leverage our team, leverage our experience, leverage our knowledge.
Yeah, and learn, right? We're going to help you learn along the way.
Yeah, right? You're like what people, I think what people people are always like, okay, well, how are the dividends paid out? These are not dividends. Like you are an owner. Yeah, like you are a limited partner. You own shit with us. You're
collecting rent.
Scott's coming in. He's a partner. I'm a partner. Like you are literally partnering with us. Yeah.
Just like if I bought a duplex and we were 50-50 JV partners. Well, we split everything 50-50, costs, expenses,
exactly. Like this is a partnership. Yeah. This is not a situation where someone's coming in and you're never going to hear from me again. I actually don't want that. And the reason why I don't want that is because I want you to come in again. Mm-hmm. I want you to come in. I want to develop a relationship with people. I'm sure you do. We want to show people how great of an opportunity this is so that they come back. Mm-hmm. We want to develop these relationships, right? We want to make the more successful everybody that comes in on this is, the more successful we all are. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the more scalability we'll have, the better opportunities will come across our desks. That's a big one too. People need to understand that, when you have,
this is a good point.
When you have a big pool of investors that are ready to pull the trigger,
stuff starts coming to you.
Stuff starts coming to you. And I can't stress that enough. Yeah. So the more people we have and the more like-minded individuals that really want to scale this and want to scale their portfolio with us and partner with us, the better access to opportunities we're going to have.
That's a
for everybody.
Fantastic way of putting it.
Yeah.
I like what you said about the relationship side too. I'm not a transactional agent.
No.
I don't just do transactions. I basically have a relationship with all of my clients. Like we become friends. We become like colleagues. We become business associates. Like it's different. I'm not there like, oh, give me your money, then I disappear.
Yeah.
It's not like that for me. And I don't think even you messaged me last night. Hey, if anybody ever wants to sit down with me or hop on a call with us three, any of your clients, anytime, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of it. Like, anybody listening to this, we're accessible. We would love to sit down with you at the office and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Like, so it's not like a distance thing. Give us your money and we disappear.
No.
So really good points there.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about when you pull the trigger, stuff comes to you. That's why you get so many deals thrown your way, because you make moves. If we, as a collective, start making moves, we can grow this even more.
People take notice.
Yeah,
people know. And one of the big things too is like, when you go after a property and you're known for committing, like if you go to Coachwood Capital and read the review of like the Canton Manor agents that were selling that particular building, like they posted a great review of like, hey, I know this was tough to put together and everything. The three owners that owned that particular property, they were very difficult. It took 6 months to close. All this stuff, but I grinded it out, and they're like, this guy he's serious and he closes. Yeah. That's an important point too.
And in that process, you built a relationship with those agents, and you don't think the next deal that comes across their plate, they might not think about you.
Stuff. Oh yeah, they send.
Yeah,
stuff,
they're already sent. You're getting stuff already sent to you from all across the U.S. just from the contact.
Yeah.
So the more people are involved and the more money's involved, the better for everybody.
For sure, of course.
Especially in the US where the opportunity is, right?
Yeah,
they call it literally the land of opportunity. Like that's literally what the US is known for.
Yeah.
And we're seeing why. I didn't really understand this before, right? It was kind of like, oh, land of opportunity, whatever, right? You can have opportunity anywhere. No, it's different over there.
It is.
It's for now at least until.
Yeah, it's different over there. But it is tough. Yeah. It's a shrewd market.
Yeah.
It's a very shrewd market. It's a free market, and that's why it's shrewd.
Yeah.
But that's also why...
But that's the opportunity.
That's the opportunity. Yeah. If you can navigate that shrewd market, the opportunities are huge.
And that's why you want a shrewd businessman at the helm, which I honestly believe you are, and I think you've proven it with multiple successful businesses. Yeah. Love it. What's the next point here?
I think that's pretty much it, man. I think we covered a lot of it.
Yeah, cool. And in our podcast that we're dropping this Saturday, we talk about Florida's market and the fundamentals of what's actually happening there, both statistically and anecdotally from our experience going down there.
Yeah.
It's insane, guys. It's insane. The market's insane. You have businesses and people moving by the tens of thousands, like monthly.
Yeah.
For the reasons that we talked about.
I actually want to do a podcast too, talking about certain things in other states versus states like Florida. I think that might
for sure.
I would love to be able to predict what I think is going to end up happening.
Yeah, and I bet you we're going to be right on the ball.
Maybe
we're going to be right on the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, people overthink things. A lot of times, it's very easy to see what's happening, and a lot of people are they're unwilling to accept what's happening. Right? Just like in Windsor.
Yeah.
The market's going to crash for 3 years straight. I've been hearing. Right?
I can't remember the analogy that I heard the other day, or I might have read it. It was something along the lines of like 30 or 25 years ago or something like that. Something was worth 30 cents and it's worth like $3 now.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the same shit.
It could have been a loaf of bread or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
you know what I'm saying though? Yeah. It's the same thing. Like
that's just the power of inflation. Inflation is natural.
That's what it was. It was the narrative was inflation.
Yeah. It's inevitable that inflation is going to raise the cost of building. And when the cost of building goes up, then the value of what's already built automatically goes up. It's inevitable, and rents go up and everything else. Wages go up as well. And that's just inflation. Yeah. So you have the perfect asset for a high inflation environment. Yeah. Even if it wasn't a high inflation environment, it's still the best asset. But in this environment, limited by COVID, supplies are limited, labor's limited, whatever. It's making inflation a little bit higher than normal.
Yeah. Oh, we got a call coming in. Decline that one there.
You got to own real estate.
Yeah.
Returns are hard to find in Ontario and Canada. We're pivoting to the US for a reason. The fundamentals of Miami and Florida in general are Ontario on steroids.
Yeah.
But starting 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
With like very attractive fundamentals.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a federal government that's implementing some heavy immigration stuff.
Yeah.
All the same stuff that happened here 10 years ago that started to drive the market that a lot of people didn't see. I only started seeing it about 3 or 4 years ago. I've been posting about it. Go back and read. I've been telling people what's happening here. Not enough houses, too much immigration, too much money. There's too many big businesses out here. There's too many millionaires. Investors are snapping up all the supply.
Yeah.
We have a long ways to go. So it's been obvious to smart people for a long time. Even in the GTA, people have become millionaires because they know what's happening. It's budding over there.
Yeah.
It's budding.
Yeah.
The borders are open. The regulations are tightening.
Yeah.
The supply is limited. There's short houses across the U.S., 3 to 4 million. Go look it up. That's like Fannie and Freddie Mac's own report.
Yeah.
They're short across the U.S., 3 or 4 million housing. How do you think they're going to build that many houses?
Yeah.
And then you have this fundamental driver of businesses and people moving to Florida for the reasons we talked about. No state taxes, no lockdowns, good weather, oceanfront, and everything else that we talked about. Pro-business mayors and governors. It's the perfect storm.
Yeah.
It really is. So you're not going to be able to probably do it yourself unless you go buy a single family or some condo rental or something like that. Hop on the train before it's too late. Also, how long do we look for this deal? Deals like this it's not like this is a dime a dozen deal.
Yeah, man. This is it left, it came back.
Not just this one, but how many deals did you look at? How many?
This is like a 1 in 100 that I've looked at. Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't more.
Yeah,
like you're on CoStar.
Yeah.
4 hours a day sometimes, right?
And not even like for the stuff that's for sale. Like I've cold called hundreds of properties. Hundreds of property owners, and they're just like, nope, we're not interested in selling.
Yeah.
Like they know why they're holding their assets. They know what they have.
Yeah.
They know what they have.
Yeah. So that's another thing too is we are building out systems to target off market stuff, right? Like we are working on that.
This was technically an off market product.
Well, oh yeah, I actually didn't know that. How did you find it?
Same thing. Like, I believe, geez, it was so long ago now. Did an agent bring it to me? I don't remember if an agent brought it to me. I think it was, it might've been an expired listing a year or two ago that I drummed up.
Yeah. Because this was a long process. You had it under contract. Somebody else swooped in.
Yeah. Somebody from New York, swooped in for quite a bit more money than I did. Something happened with the financing. It fell through. And then I ended up, it couldn't have been that crazy of financing. I don't like what I actually ended up hearing was he wanted to use his specific lender out of New York and they just didn't do stuff down there.
Just didn't work.
Yeah. So it didn't end up working and he's got a large portfolio and he was like, I'm not going to be bothered.
I remember how upset you were when that deal fell through because you're like, shoot, man. Like that was a good one. That was a good one. And then, it
fell through and it came back and I ended up putting it together. Got the lending for it. Yeah. So ended up working out.
Yeah. So that's a quick breakdown of just some of the stuff we've heard.
Very attractive lending, actually, might I add.
Oh yeah.
Like quite a bit of for people that want to know more about the lending that I got, if you actually come in on this deal, I'll break it down for people like how and why the lending on this particular deal is like outrageously attractive.
Yeah, and lending's huge, and that's negotiating, and that's talking to 50 different lenders 100%. And saying, how do I come up with the best terms? You met a great contact, a broker over there as well. Yeah. The lending game is different in the U.S., man. It's big time.
It is.
It's competitive. You've got lenders that can do different things. Yeah. It's very intriguing. That's what makes the U.S. the big leagues.
Yeah.
I think people underestimate how much bigger of a game it is over there and how much more money you can make if you do it right and learn the game.
It is true. It's absolutely true. 100%.
Trigger.